Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deerigan. Alongside me, as always, is the spooky Guardian, Josh Finney.
God, I really just don't like Halloween at all. Like, as a holiday, I could not give less of a shit.
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
I'm very ready. We're 5 days away. The only thing I look forward to around Halloween time is watching The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and that takes like 30 minutes of my time. So, and I watch Muppets Haunted Mansion too now. So,
yeah, Muppets Haunted Mansion is pretty good.
Listen, I've been starved of Muppets content for like the last 15 years. I'll take whatever I can get, no matter how mediocre at this point.
Yeah, it's fair.
And it wasn't mediocre. It was actually good. So,
speaking of Muppets,
so was Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem was a great show too.
Ooh. You know, speaking of the Muppets, did you see that they removed the Miss Piggy statue in front of the ride or the show?
It's distressing. They need to put it back in.
I know. Did you see what they did while they were refurbishing it? They just put a bunch of shrubs that were in like wagons around it.
That sounds like minimum effort. Yeah. I mean, Pizza Rizzo is in the same courtyard, so I didn't expect much.
Oh man, I'm like, okay, I get it, but also,
yeah, I get what you're going for, but no, they're gonna do some Christmas thing over at Hollywood Studios this year, and Kermit and the Muppets are gonna be part of it. So
great,
along with Max from the Goofy movie, dressed in his Powerline costume. And the Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
Oh man, that's so awesome.
Oh, dude, I saw that. I was like, God damn it. Of course, this is the year that my dad's family doesn't want to go. And I'm like, Dad, we should go just so I can hang out with Powerline Max. And I had to explain to him what Powerline Max was. And he's like, son, you're 31.
Dude, I can't wait to see Powerline Max.
Without children. He had to drive that dagger in. So,
well, to be fair, you don't have children.
Yes, but he was citing that as a reason that I should not be excited for this.
I know. Oh,
my family. Man, it's been a week. My eyes fucking hurt. They're so sore right now.
I know. I'm
not sleeping well, so
everything hurts right now. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, my everything. That's good. Like we have gotten 7 inches of rain in the last 24 hours.
Ooh.
Where I live, it finally stopped earlier today, and it's going to pick right back up tomorrow afternoon, and it's going to rain for like the next 5 days. Oh, dude, I'm here for it. We were having drought and fire warnings in late October. We also have a massive cold front moving in. We are going to be 45 degrees for the high on Monday.
Nice.
I'm so excited. My hoodies are coming out. I'll actually put sleeves on this one when it happens. Ooh. Very excited. It's
sleeves for nice. Josh.
Yep, I can bust out my my Vault of Glass windbreaker. Bust out my raid jacket. I'm excited.
Nice.
The Rangers are in the World Series this week.
I know, you were really worried on Monday.
Oh my god, I was like, if I could have been pacing during Xbox Casuals, I would have been pacing, and my concern was completely unfounded. Apparently. That happened. The Mavs did not lose to Victor Wembanyama in his first NBA game.
Yeah, the Cavs won by 1.
Week. I saw people like trying to say it was like some big gotcha moment. I'm like, no. You won by 1 against the Brooklyn Nets, who are not good.
Yeah.
I would not be impressed by this. Although I did find it very funny that Cam Thomas fell when Donovan Mitchell juked him, and it was like the exact same fall that he had against Luka.
Yeah.
It's just so good. Luka cussed in the post-game interview last night.
Did he?
Yeah, he was on ESPN, and they were asking him about our rookie center who like balled the fuck out. He was awesome. Yeah. He had better stat lines than Wemby did. And they're like, what's it like playing with him? He's like, oh my god. He's like, I told him how proud of him I was. He's like, man, he's fucking amazing. Oh shit, sorry. It was so funny, and they ribbed him about it in the interview room after, and he was like, yeah, I said that. He was like, no, I didn't say that. He was like denying it because he didn't want to get fined by the NBA, even though
Yeah.
all of America saw it on ESPN as the primetime game. He's
Yeah.
like, well, that basically means good morning in Slovenia. So
That's funny.
I thought it was really funny. It was great. It was nice to see him smiling, and Jason Kidd had some bullshit lineups, but we won. That's
Yeah.
all that matters.
I mean, that's basically Jason Kidd's MO at this point.
God, I fucking hate Jason Kidd so much. I hate him.
Don't you wish you had JB Bickerstaff?
No, actually, I don't. I don't. I wish I had Lucas coaches from Europe that don't speak a lick of English.
Dude, JB Bickerstaff has been rumored to be getting fired for the last 3 years, but I don't.
We went through a whole year and a summer of Jason Kidd rumors. I'm right there with you, buddy. People, including me, were calling for him to be fired as soon as we saw his pregame lineup last night. He took, let's not play the guy that we just gave a $42 million extension to in the starting lineup. Let's play Derek Jones Jr., who was on a $1.8 million minimum veteran salary this year in the starting lineup instead, when he started 7 games total in his entire career. He lasted 6 minutes before being pulled.
Yeah,
because our team gave up 46 points in the first quarter.
Yikes.
And then we held them to under 25 in each of the following quarters because we didn't play Derek Jones Jr.
Wow.
Victor Wembanyama was in foul trouble with not even halfway to go in the third quarter still. It was beautiful. Jeez. People are like, how is he in foul trouble? Oh, the refs are just being mean to him. And I'm like, he's 7'6". He's basically Gumby with a basketball. Like, my dude, he's gonna swing his arms and he's inevitably hitting somebody. Like, that's a foul, no matter how you slice it. I'm sorry. Maybe he got away with this shit in Europe because they didn't know what to do, but man, you can't just smack people in the head with your big ass Gumby arms. That dude fucking terrifies me. I saw him move quickly and it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, he's gonna be something.
That scared me almost as much as seeing Luka Doncic actually sprint down the court last night. Corey, he sprinted up and down the court on fast breaks, not a light jog. He actually sprinted on breakaways. He played great with Kyrie. He played defense. He got 2 steals in the last 3 minutes of the game, mind you. Wow. And above all else, he did not whine to the refs one time last night.
Wow. Well,
and he played 8 minutes less than his average. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Jeez.
I'm so happy.
It's only game 1, Josh.
I don't fucking care. This season's a success. Start the Derek Lively Rookie of the Year campaign right now. Luka's winning the MVP.
Oh, man.
He actually probably will.
Funny.
But...
Josh, by the way.
Corey. Yes.
By the way.
The
Cavs, or the Browns, are not starting Deshaun Watson again this weekend.
What?
He's not playing this weekend.
Oh, I thought you said that. I misheard you. I thought you said that he was playing, and I'm like, huh?
Oh, no, he's not playing. The rumor is they're trying to bring Jacoby Brissett back. I'm like, you shouldn't have let him go in the first place, you idiots. Now we're stuck with TDR and PJ Walker.
PJ Walker.
Oh, dude, my gosh. There's a guest on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show today who said that PJ Walker orchestrated 2 straight wins against good football teams. I'm like, did you watch the game? Did you watch the game?
Well, Corey, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we signed Frank Clark this afternoon, who is playing on Sunday and is going to make it his mission to completely destroy your quarterback.
That's fine. Did you know our 3rd string tight end is our emergency quarterback?
he may be playing.
Harrison Bryant.
There is approximately a 63% chance he will have to play at some point.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm not expecting
it
to win
can't
anyway.
be any worse, can it?
Oh, I know. We've lost Nick Chubb. We lost Deshaun Watson. We don't have a backup quarterback. Who else have we lost? Oh, we lost both of our starting right tackle. So we have a bunch of bums playing wide receiver except for Amari Cooper.
I mean, Amari Cooper's a borderline bum at this point, so
he's been pretty good for us, unless I'm just used to terrible quarterbacks, which is also may or may not be true.
It's probably more true than not. Baker Mayfield was the best quarterback you'd had in 25 years, and you guys showed him the door promptly.
I'm aware. I was very upset with that, by the way. I want that.
Corey, you know what I'm not upset about?
Destiny.
I'm not upset about these season 23 updates that we got.
Ooh, let's break them down, Josh.
Let's break it down.
We're almost 15 minutes into the show.
We did this the other night with Spider-Man.
Wait, hold on. Yeah. Time out. 1 second.
Time out.
One second. Stop DMing me on Instagram and Twitter and telling us to start a half-hour sports show every week. No.
It's not happening.
No.
It's not happening.
It would be 30 minutes of us complaining about our teams, and then
it would literally only be us complaining about our teams.
Yeah,
there would be nothing of substance being done in that show. So pretty short swab this week. We're just going to jump in and do these because the bigger thing that we have is we have a Dev Insights blog preview for season 23 changes. So the biggest news though here in this hallowed twab, Corey.
Hallowed twab.
Starting in season 23.
Oh boy, Josh has his excited voice and his excited smile on right now.
You'll be able to access your vault from orbit.
What?
I'm so excited.
Yes.
I'm so excited for this. Is such a little change, and I like that. So some of the senior UI developers were talking about this on Twitter earlier. They're like, we understand that a lot of people like to use DIM, but so much of our player base doesn't know that those applications exist or just don't want to use them. Don't sit where they have access to a second screen and things like that, because like the DIM app has never worked well on the phone. And I'm not going to use it in a mobile browser. So I'm one of those. I also don't like the Bungie companion app. I think it's really bad. I've had some really bad desyncing before with trying to get things to and from my vault, and like you have to know the exact game. You have to scroll. Like I have to go into every one of them and see which perks it's ready. It's really annoying. So I'm really, really happy for this. They'll be able to do this. I know that a lot of us were kind of cutting out the middleman and just running to the helm because it was quicker to load in that way.
Yeah.
Than going to the tower. But hopefully this will cut down on the in between every activity. I need to run to the helm or I need to run to the tower. I'll just sit there and do it in orbit while we're loading. So I'm really excited for this. I think this is really cool. They also have a note on here that we are exploring additional areas to give more freedom to access the vault in-game for potential future releases. We will keep you posted.
Ooh.
I have to think that that's going to be similar to what they've done with both. I guess they didn't do it in the Witch Queen. I guess the only place that they did it at was Lightfall. I think you can access your vault next to Nimbus in Lightfall.
Nimbus.
Yeah, on Neomuna. I think you can access your vault there.
You can.
That feels like something that they will probably bake into all future destination releases. Just because, I mean, that's just kind of a common sense thing, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll do it as drastic as, oh, you can access the vault anytime while you're playing, because I think that's silly. But and I don't think it'll be like, oh, you can access it at the beginning of a strike or something like that. But
yeah, it's gotta, like, even if they did do that, it would have to be disabled for raids and stuff like that, right?
So I could see them do it. I actually could see them doing it at like the load-in area for raids.
Yeah, or like after each checkpoint, I guess. After each boss, I guess you could maybe. I guess
possibly. I feel like maybe they have one at the beginning and then one right before the boss. that would work in a lot of the raids, I think, because there's like always like a calm spot before you get down to the boss.
Yeah.
That I feel like you could put a vault station at. And I think it would have to be somewhere that like, oh, you can still access it if you wipe. So like it can't be something like, oh, you jump down onto the platform and like, oh, you're permanently stuck there. So like, or it just like disappears when you start the encounter or something like that. I don't know. Right. But I do think that's probably what they're referring to here is destination releases, and maybe like raids and or dungeons will have something you can access before a final boss. I don't think it'll be before every encounter, but I think specifically final bosses they'll do it. There's been some glitches in the past with like not getting your guaranteed red border if your inventory is totally full in certain activities. So I think this would be a way to combat that as well. Other changes, ghost mods are going to be changing. The economy team is going to change a lot of the cost of these for combo wombo detectors. All of the armorer mods and the harvest mods are all going to change. They are all going down in cost, and that is to let you use more of these at once, which is really cool. You have a lot more options how to set up your ghost while keeping the high value XP mods slotted. Those are the only things that are not changing in value, I believe, are the XP mods. With the right setup, you might find yourself with a ghost mod in every slot. We're planning to check in with what ghost loadouts you all choose to rock as you go through Season 23, and we'll use that information to plan further tweaks and upgrades to the system down the line. That's cool. I think most of us like always have on the XP boosts. Get the 12%. I know I never take it off unless I'm specifically hunting a piece of armor, but now I can have like one or two of those on at all times, which is really nice. I like that. Rahul is getting some changes also. You are now going to be able to purchase 3 prisms, 3 shards, 3 alloys, and 15 enhancement cores from him per week, which is really, really cool to me. And you can also break down 1 enhancement prism into 5 enhancement cores for 2,500 glimmer 3 times a week as well. So cool. Like I think they're gonna have to increase that one personally. I don't think that one is going to break the game at all. Being able to break down prisms into cores, I think it's like kind of silly to stop that right now, because the only people who are going to use this a lot are the people who are upgrading tons of armor, who are already grinding out the end game. Why make it even worse on them? Just let them have it. Who cares? They're better than us in skill alone already. just let them do it. Like, limit the golf balls, sure, but who fucking cares about everything else? Like, we have a gigantic limit of these things for a reason. I suspect you're going to give us even more in our passes now. Just do it. Just do it. I've got like 5 stacks of them. I really don't care if other people start stacking them up.
Right. Yeah.
And we only have one other thing here in this TWAB, Corey.
One other thing.
We have one other thing.
Is it a big thing, Josh?
Not really. There's a bunch of Halloween submissions you can go look at here with fashion and some arts and crafts that people did. I don't like the submissions here personally for a lot of these Guardians. They look pretty boring for the most part. I personally think our ones in the Discord are better. Airmail Addict, shout out to them. We have a fashion contest going on, and I will not confirm nor deny, but I may have voted for Airmail Addict's Buzz Lightyear look. Joasis submitted a Tormentor. The Doctor submitted one. He submitted a Drifter cosplay, which is awesome. We had some really, really good entries to the fashion contest this year.
Oh my gosh, dude, the Buzz Lightyear one's awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about the winner next week. But there's some awesome ones there. Ziltax is running around as a dinosaur. World Jukebox has like a really cool like Diablo inspired look going.
Yeah, I see that. That's cool.
Like Titan classes like Skeleton Spider. Saint has like a Necromancer like Reaper Hunter going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some really cool stuff. Illustrated Deo, don't leave them out. kind of combined the Crota's end armor with some of the skull. The skull Saint 14 helmet is awesome on that look, I think.
Yeah.
It like kind of like looks almost Attack on Titan inspired.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. We had some great submissions this year. I really like it. I'm excited to get to dub the Freak Show title on somebody at the end of this.
Nice. Dude, it's so good. Man, this Buzz Lightyear one is pretty cool. The Spider Saint one looks cool too.
Yeah, I really like the nominations that we got this year. I'm very happy. And we are leaving voting up for a couple more days on that. We just put it live this afternoon. Shout out to Nerd for helping me get that all set up.
Nerd's the best.
He really is. My man has been real busy this season, but will hopefully be around a little bit more going forward. Now the move is mostly complete.
Oh yeah,
we got one more note here in our TWAB. And we're just going to read this as it is.
As is,
common, but it's been coming up more and more. I've been seeing it in some Reddit threads and Twitter threads and whatnot. The connection between carry services and cheating. Bungie's product security team continues to protect players from cheating and enable players to experience the game as its talented designers intended. Over the past year, we've observed an increase in accounts being stolen and sold without the account owner's permission by boosters, paid carry services, and cheat developers. Such services also appear to harvest and sell any other personal or financial information that they come across. There's an increasingly clear relationship between boosting services and cheating. Primarily, boosting and paid carry services frequently resort to cheats to churn through as many customers as fast as possible. After those customers are churned through, the carry service will then sell the account credentials to other bad actors. Cheat developers, in turn, use packs of stolen accounts to evade bans and enable further cheat development. Ultimately, services that offer to skirt the integrity of the game are not likely to be trustworthy with a player's account and personal information. In addition to the untrustworthiness of these services, they are also against the terms of service and end up as the basis of a permanent ban on the account. We again remind you to protect your account. Do not use account recovery or cheat services. Saying your fingers were not on the keyboard when the cheating occurred will not help you in the appeal. The loss of your Bungie account due to bad behavior by untrustworthy service is only one small way you can be burned. There's been a lot of controversy over the past year or so as Bungie has taken steps to ban more and more people, and there's been people screaming that their accounts were erroneously banned. I've never cheated. I would never do anything like that. And then it comes out later on that they did, in fact, do something. They used some sort of boosted recovery or a plug-in or something along those lines. And
just play the game, guys. Just play the game.
Play the fucking game. Like, realistically, like, yeah, sometimes you're not gonna be good enough. Like, you don't need to pay for carries and trials. Like, just accept that you're not good enough and move on. Like, I get that it's frustrating, but do you really care that much about, are you paying like actual money for pixels on a screen?
Like, I've accepted that I'm not good enough for trials.
For titles and for gear and stuff. Like, I don't think anything outside of, like, you know, some of the maybe some of the master raids and like Grandmaster Nightfalls are like actually hard in terms of PvE content.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I hate to be that person. Get good. Like, find an LFG. Like, there are plenty of people who will be willing to help you through that stuff. Like, trials is a different beast altogether. Like, and that's where most of this is referring to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, without saying it, that's where most of it's referring to. That's the whole reason why we have the anti-cheat protection in place. That's why you can't play the game on a Steam Deck without certain, you know, plugins and whatnot.
I usually see it for trials and raids mostly. Like, I've
seen it less and less for raids. I see it for like the 48-hour window, and that's about it. I'll see it for people like, oh, you know, I'm doing carries through and this and that. Like, there's a difference between carrying and doing something like this too. I want to be totally clear. It's different to put a couple friends in your backpack and carry them through stuff.
Yeah.
That's not what we're referring to here. What we're referring to here is people who are like willingly exchanging money to, you know, the ads that you see on like Instagram.
Yeah.
Or, you know, on sites that, you know, churn your information, that use your cookies and whatnot. Because I've seen it pop up on Destiny related sites before. And it's always funny, like seeing something like that pop up on like Ishtar Collective.
Yeah,
I find that really funny.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't want I don't want carries and trials.
Yeah.
I don't need somebody to earn my seasonal seals for me either. If you're paying for that, I have no words. You truly are lost if you're paying for seasonal titles.
Yeah, really. Like, you might as well just like not play the
Why
game.
play the game?
Yeah.
Why play the game? Yeah. And like, what's funny is I've seen some of these same people who have like been banned turn around and be like, or complaining before the ban, like, there's nothing to do in the game. Like, well, damn, with all this free time you have, you could play one of 2023's amazing games.
Yeah. Like Spider-Man 2 or Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Or the 1,000 other games that came out.
Alan Wake 2.
Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of mixed reviews though.
Alan Wake 2 has a 94 on Metacritic.
Oh, well.
There's no mixed reviews. It has a 94 on Metacritic. That game fucking rocks, apparently. I'm a little scared to see how it runs on consoles, but that's beside the point. Don't cheat. The end.
Game Informer gave it a 7.75.
Well, Game Informer sucks, so that is by far the lowest score. I sat there and watched all the 10 out of 10s come in this morning. Who reviewed it at Game Informer, by the way? Does it say?
It was Kyle Hilliard.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
It's the only name I recognize anymore from Game Informer, to be honest.
Yeah,
I thought he got laid off. I don't know. Anyways,
I'm going to keep my opinions to myself.
Let's just move on. I don't care.
Season 23, we have a weapons tuning preview from the developers. So we'll jump into what some of the updated archetypes such as autos, pulses, glaives, etc. are gonna have. There's a lot of exotic changes here and some future stuff to talk about as well. One of our juicy changes here at the very beginning.
Juicy.
So they said when we look at weapon balance in PvE, there are several questions that we ask ourselves. It's not an exhaustive list. This is a basic list of questions. What is the intended role for the weapon? What ammo type does the weapon use? How safe is it to use the weapon? How easy is the weapon to use? And how much DPS does it do compared to other options? Then they answer all of those for auto rifles. And here on number 2, they all use primary ammo. And then in parentheses, for now.
Ooh, spicy.
Yes, super spicy. I'm taking this to mean that this is probably referring to the new healing archetype that they talked about during the Final Shape Showcase.
You're right. Yeah, that would make sense.
It would not surprise me to see a new archetype debuted as an exotic first, and then to figure out how much room they have to play with. Because I don't think the actual archetype will make its way to legendaries. So to like, we know they've said it'll be a legendary. I just don't know how many they'll do, considering heal clip is already a perk.
Yeah.
But I think making a whole archetype around it and like limiting the amount of weapons to set archetype probably will make it a rarer legendary drop than something that can drop with heal clip.
Right. You're talking about that one they announced.
Than heal clip.
You're talking about that one they announced during the showcase, right? The one where you shoot your allies and they heal you.
Yeah. So that's cool, and that would make sense if that's a special ammo one, because they want to limit the amount that you're using something like that. Because otherwise you could just have somebody like standing in the back during raid DPS shooting your allies if it's strong enough.
Right.
I
bet that weapon gets like a ton of adjustment during the course of the year next year, because probably they're going to try to tune it.
I mean, they're going to have to. It's either going to be super underwhelming when it comes out, so they can just buff it as needed, or it's going to be super duper broken.
Yeah. There's
really no in between. I don't think there's any way that thing launches balanced. I was shocked that Strand launched even remotely as balanced as it did. We discovered a couple of weapons with mistimed ammunition loading animations, including Drang and Zoli's Bane. I know that's the concern that we all have. Auto rifle DPS. We are increasing damage against red bar combatants by 10%. Let's go. I haven't really noticed it lagging, but I'll take it anyways. Pulse rifle DPS in PvE is comparable to scout rifle damage, but in this new sandbox, they are more closely aligned with hand cannons and auto rifles in terms of range. So we have increased their damage against minor and major combatants to move them closer to the other mid-range options. Increased damage against red and orange bar combatants by 12.5%. Great, because I have noticed that pulses do not feel as good in PvE, and that would be because they're on par with scouts, which also do not feel good in PvE.
Yeah, I've noticed that recently too. Especially, I mean, I've noticed it more in scouts than pulse rifles, but
yeah, I've noticed it in unless you're using like a high impact pulse. I've noticed it.
Yeah,
high impact pulses, and I think those are your 340s and your 390s are still working pretty good. I've noticed it in the more rapid fire pulses, but those are still the rapid fire ones, even though they may not do as much DPS, are still great options whenever there's a pulse rifle mod for champs.
Yeah,
because they fire so quickly with their bursts.
Yeah.
The big one, the most extensive one that we're going to talk about here in this blog, and it truly does take up like a quarter of the blog, is the Glaive rework. This has received a lot of mixed reception, and by mixed I mean a lot of it's been bad.
Yeah.
I wonder if any of this is going to be walked back. Let's go ahead and talk about these. So, Glaive projectiles. They were generally just slow enough they felt unreliable to use against fast-moving targets, and Impulse Amplifier was seen as a must-have perk for Glaive usage in PvP. Yup, I run Impulse Amplifier on my Void one, for example. In PvE, the Glaive projectiles felt underpowered compared to other special ammo options like fusion rifles and shotguns. Fusion rifles, yes. Shotguns, I still felt like this was doing damage, but I had Impulse Amplifier and I used Thresh with mine a lot, so I was getting my super back quicker. But I could see where you would think that. Definitely not as good as fusions. I mean, maybe shotguns are like fine if you're like getting up in people's faces, but I never really noticed a problem with shooting the bursts. But maybe that's just me. I got really used to hip firing that sucker. So we gave Glaives a healthy portion of the Impulse Amplifier buff at base and increased their damage in PvE by a substantial amount to make them feel more worthy of their limited ammo. In PvP, the increased projectile speed has greatly improved their ease of use, so we brought the damage dealt by the projectile down just a bit to keep Glaives in line. So it seems that everybody is okay with the projectile speed going up by 30%, the projectile damage increasing in PvE by 25%. They don't like that it's doing less projectile damage in PvP, because I think it was already really hard to use the projectiles in PvP. Source, I've tried to use it in PvP quite a bit. You can use it in certain modes to just beat the shit out of everybody, but that's about it. Aggressives are going to get 123 projectile damage, adaptives 113, rapid fires 101. That's pretty rough. That requires you to get 2 hits for a kill, and that's not at all comparable to fusion rifles or shotguns, which one bang people most of the time. So I definitely think that the projectile damage is in a bad spot and is going to need to be looked at.
Yeah.
I could understand maybe your rapid fires not because again, as the name implies, the rate of fire. I can understand those. Maybe not doing it. Maybe you need to get 2 shots with that. Like 2 body shots with a glaive should kill somebody.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say. 2 body shots should kill no matter what. Especially when it comes to a special weapon. You know, we've seen it with snipers. Like, oh, you have to get the headshot. Body shots won't kill on impact. Well, if that's what you're going for here, that's fine, because this is like a mid-range option. But this isn't a long-range one where you can line up somebody in a scope. This isn't. You have the short range melee option, but you're probably going to die if you're going up against a shoddy, just realistically. So there has to be some give and take there, I think. In regards to the melee ability, the long delay between firing projectile and being able to melee made Glaives feel clunky and unintuitive to use, so we've reduced that delay to a more manageable amount. The delay exists so you cannot dive on other players and fire then melee as a single event, but 3/4 of a second was definitely more conservative than what we needed to prevent that behavior. It should now feel far more intuitive to shoot a projectile and follow up with the melee attack without it feeling overly frustrating to fight someone using that combo. The delay after you're firing before you can melee has been moved from 0.75 seconds to 0.2 seconds. I'm here for it. That is a good change. I think when you look at the firing rate and the damage in that context, it looks better, personally. But you have to have that speed or be able to shoot, slide, stab. Like you're gonna have to combo. You're not running a glaive in PvP unless you're really ballsy anyways, or you're just stupid good at this game.
Right.
You're probably not running a glaive in PvP very often.
Yeah, I mean, I love my glaive, but I don't run it in PvP.
I run it in PvP because I'm not all there on the head.
Well, that's fair.
Shields, the final part of this. Relying on dealing damage with a projectile to grant shield energy was a choice made to limit the amount of uptime the highly damage-resistant shields had in Crucible and endgame PvE. Unfortunately, it effectively gated a significant portion of the weapon's effectiveness and made using a glaive without energy feel like you were wielding half a weapon. We wanted to increase the uptime of the shield so you could get a little bit more of the weapon fantasy to shine through, but had to be careful not to give too much or allow the shield to become too strong in competitive content. Shield energy now recharges passively when the glaive is held at a rate of 1% per second. Set up the base glaive shield damage resistance to be tiered in PvP. Base shield damage resistance remains at 50%. Damage resisting in this primary ammos and melee attacks has been reduced to 30%. Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's ultra controversial here. The exotic glaives, however, feel like they've probably been butchered, and we're gonna get to that in the exotic weapons. Overall, like, I think that this will make legendary glaives feel a lot better, and that's good because I used my glaive all last year, and I've put it on the shelf for most of this year, frankly. Past the first season of the year, I haven't really used too much in the way of glaives.
Yeah.
And I think that's good because, like, they gave us so many glaives so quick that it was impossible to find one like that I really, really liked. So I'm more than happy to have these changes. I need to see how the projectile damage is going to feel, but it should be noted that is a change. The decreased damage is only in PvP. I don't think a lot of us are using these in PvP. Yeah. I would run around in momentum, like, just to, like, fuck with people, and I got, like, really good at being able to, like, eyesight shoot it if I had a open lane, but, you know, it's kind of more of a meme weapon than anything.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion, it's kind of like running a sword in PvP. Like, you're kind of only doing it to, like, fuck with people.
Right.
And then sniper rifles are going to be moved up small amounts at a time. Sniper rifle PvE damage has a flat buff of 15%, and this also applies to exotic sniper rifles. Whisper of the Worm is back. I'm calling it now. We're all using Whisper of the Worm. Exotic weapon changes. Oh, I'm dead serious. I'm actually dead serious about that.
I know you are, but it's just the way you said it made me laugh.
It's gonna be awesome. Vex Mythoclast may actually be the best ad clear exotic in the game after this change. It received both a range buff and a PvE damage buff in Season of the Witch. We believe it has additional room to grow in PvE and find a unique role. We have increased damage against minor and boss combatants and are going to be experimenting with a different style of anti-champion gameplay. Instead of having intrinsic anti-champion perks, we are massively increasing the damage that the linear fusion mode deals to all champions. This places it in the unique space of being more of a Swiss Army knife and less of a specialist. We envision it as a weapon you can take into an activity regardless of which champion type is present and still have it be an effective tool, especially when used in concert with other anti-champion abilities. Increased damage versus red bar combatants by 10%, bosses by 25%. Are you ready for this one, Corey?
I'm ready. Give it to me.
Champions by 200% when in linear fusion mode. As a reminder, you get a couple linear shots. You don't just get the one.
Right. Jesus
so
Christ.
That's going to be awesome.
That's
I genuinely am looking forward to using Vex again.
200%. Jesus.
I'm very excited. And these are all PvE changes. So speaking of changes that we still like, Revision 0. As the second part of our anti-champion experiment, we're also increasing Revision 0's damage versus champions, although a much lower amount since the weapon retains its intrinsic anti-barrier. Increased damage versus champions by 100% on Revision 0. I imagine that's because of the sniper mode.
Yeah.
That you can get it to.
Yeah.
And then Thorn. If you thought all those were wacky, Thorn is getting a catalyst to boost its strength in PvP and a chance to change the base behavior to make it more fun to use in PvE. Picking up a Remnant can overflow the magazine up to 40 rounds max.
Jesus. Okay.
Catalyst, plus 20 range, plus 10 stability. Getting kills or picking up a remnant grants additional range, handling, and mobility. This sucker, you're going to be able to run around with that. A Thorn is terrorizing the Crucible again, starting next season. I hate this so much. Like, hand cannon users rejoice. As somebody who hates Thorn, I hate this. I understand why you're doing this. This is going to be a whole lot of fun for hand cannon users to use. For the rest of us, we are just groaning in unison. But Thorn is going to be so rad. I can't wait to see some of the videos that are going to come out and people using it. Our next big one here are the class glaives. So the changes for all 3 glaives are as follows. Grant 1 ammo when you activate your perk, so you can use it even if you are out of ammo. No longer passively drain shield energy when you special reload to activate the perk, and no longer deactivated by reloading or stowing the weapon. Now, I think those are all good changes. Edge of Intent, which is the Warlock glaive. Solar 3.0 interactions and a larger area of effect, helping it reach more allies, is in store. Healing turret projectiles to grant cures and provide restoration. Increase the AoE radius to 8 meters, and magazine size increased from 4 to 5. So that's a good change. We like the Warlock glaive. We like that it's going to be useful. The Titan one seems to be the one that people have problems with. We wanted to make Baby Bubble more effective in endgame content, so now it provides some benefit to weapons just for passing through it, even if you do not remain inside. Passing through the bubble now grants bonus reload speed, handling, and a small amount of stacking bonus damage in addition to the overshield. Reduced the health of the bubble from 8,000 to 2,400 to account for the increased uptime and improved effects. I feel like that's a little too drastic.
Yeah,
I can understand reducing it some. If they would have said like 4,000, I probably would still argue that's a little too drastic. This is gonna get bumped up. I think that's way too little,
dude. That's so. I mean, they took it
but
down
also
a
like
quarter, like 3/4 of the thing almost.
Yeah, but also at the same time, like how many people do we know that are who are actually running this in endgame content?
I mean, I doubt it, but like it's still a lot.
It's still a lot, but anyways, this has been the controversial change that I was talking about.
Yeah.
A lot of people really upset about this one. I just don't know who's using an exotic glaive in Grandmasters or in raids, personally.
No,
I think the bigger concern here is probably being able to use it in trials.
Yeah.
Or Iron Banner. I think that's probably the bigger one. If you had said you were nerfing it to that for like endgame PvP, I would understand.
I wonder. I do wonder if this change is for PvP almost, just because maybe it's too powerful. I don't know. At 8,000,
I mean 8,000 is almost certainly too much for a special weapon to give you.
Yeah, this seems like
PvE. I probably have less of a problem with. I mean, because that's not going to survive at all in PvE.
No,
that thing's going to die so fast.
Yeah,
2,400, it could be gone.
Yeah, I think this move is more for like, I don't know. I think this is like a trials, like, you know, I need this to get out of the way and that's it type thing. You know, that type of use case. Although I would probably use something totally different in PvP at this point. So
yeah, and again, like I don't know anyone who was actually using this.
Yeah.
But it bears repeating that like when something gets nerfed like that, we still have to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then Edge of Concurrence, which is the Hunter glaive.
Mm-hmm.
They're changing it to make work more with Arc 3.0. Lightning Seeker now jolts targets on impact and reduce the direct hit of Lightning Seeker to account for the free ammo granted. I don't know how I feel about this. I personally do not use this glaive at all.
Yeah.
We joked that it may have been like it was probably the least useless of the 3 when it came out.
Yeah.
It still feels like it is. We have better legendary arc glaives at this point, I think.
Yeah.
I do like that this is going to jolt targets. That feels like something it should have done from the beginning.
Yeah.
But I understand why you had to wait for Arc 3.0 to be in the wild. This has been around for almost 2 years. I don't care about the class glaives personally.
Yeah.
The other two are actually useful. Ours is more of something you hang on your wall and admire.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna request something from the audience. I need you to go to the Discord and tell us if you actually use exotic glaives. If you don't say anything. But if you
do you use exotic glaives? It's a two-part question. Do you use exotic glaives, and do you use any kind of glaive in PvP on a regular basis? Not just to meme. Do you actually run them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna say a minimum of 15 to 20 matches a season.
Yeah.
And real PvP, not like me running around memeing on people in momentum control. Do you use this shit in control and strongholds and things like that?
Yeah.
Not strongholds. I'm thinking Halo. You guys know what I mean. In other modes, are you using glaives? All right. Osteostriga. Oh boy. Oh boy, Osteostriga. I feel like this is going to be a little controversial too. Osteostriga has been, quite frankly, far too powerful for the ease of use it provides when it comes to ad clear and PvE. It has more range than most SMGs, does not require kills, and does not rely heavily on precision aim to activate one of the strongest AoEs we've ever had in Destiny. Well, whose fault is that? In addition, the lingering poison damage has benefited from the damage scaler that the SMGs get in PvE content, which was intended to buff SMG's direct impact damage. This scaler, which is one of the highest scalers of any weapon type in the game, is pushing the poison damage to such an extreme level, it's been difficult for any other weapon to compete in the ad clear role. While it is likely this change will not move the needle on Osteostriga by a substantial amount, it will at least be slightly less of an outlier compared to other ad clear weapons. To preempt the argument, buffing other weapons up to the same level would be power creep to such an extreme degree and unhealthy for the game as a whole, so it is not something we are going to explore. Removed the SMG damage bonus scaler that was affecting the poison damage. This brings Osteo poison down to match standard necrotic grip poison, though as an exotic it will still deal 40% damage against minors. So it's still going to be probably your top DPS option, but it'll be a little bit closer now. Just holy shit, I completely forget that this is such an outlier because I'm usually running a different exotic in a different slot.
Yeah.
But my god, I'm usually running an SMG at some point. I always keep I always have Ikelos and Callus Mini Tool on me.
Yeah.
But just Jesus Christ. So pour one out for Nerd. We know he loves Osteostriga. This is not the end of the world. They're just gonna make it slightly less amazing. Salvation's Grip. Place the speed limit on the detonation when damaging stasis crystals. This prevents the detonation from being able to shatter too many crystals on a single frame, which would sometimes kick the player to orbit with an error code. It works so well it kicks you out of the game. And then Winter Bite is also getting a glaive pass. Increase the detonation damage of the large projectile by 25%. And the self-damage blast radius has been halved, and the self-damage has been reduced. So it's less lethal to you, and it deals more damage. I love Winter Bite. This is such a goofy-ass, heavy exotic.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
But it's so cool. Just give me... I want a primary stasis glaive already.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for the day they finally give me one. Hopefully in the final shape.
I wouldn't even. I mean, I bet if it's a primary one, do you think it would do less damage than the secondary one, or you just
no? It's. I mean, by primary, all we mean is it's going to go in the primary slot. It's still going to work like a shotgun does in the primary slot. Yeah. It's just stasis weapons are never in the secondary slot. Them and Strand are only ever in that top slot.
No, you're right. I was like,
so
what?
That's what we're looking at. They'll never make. I don't think they'll ever make a kinetic glaive.
Yeah.
They might, but they're really, really wanting to force you into using another element up there, which I get.
Yeah.
I totally get. Now, that being said, a glaive with kinetic tremors, I'd be very interested to see how that plays.
Yeah.
Speaking of kinetic tremors. We wanted to make the activation requirements more consistent across archetypes, so we changed the number of hits needed to trigger it on some weapons. Pulse rifles, reduced from 12 to 11. Enhanced, reduced from 9 to 10. Non-burst sidearms, reduced from 12 to 8. Enhanced, reduced from 9 to 7. So, a little bit of a change there. That'll be nice. Danger Zone. We made a small change to how Danger Zone works on rocket launchers. Figure it out for yourself when Season 23 drops. Okay, I don't like that.
Figure it out.
The first time that I used Danger Zone on a rocket launcher, which I've never done this before, I'm gonna queue up the Kenny Loggins when I do
it. I could just hear the song.
Everybody can call me Maverick. You can call me Maverick when I do it.
I can hear the music now.
I hope that Corey will be Goose.
Why? You want me to die?
No. I would probably say, never mind, Goose dies. Well, I don't want you to. You can't. You can't be Iceman. Iceman's an asshole.
Yeah. Well, Josh is looking for a new co-host. Apparently.
Confirmed. Corey is going to have to take the role of Kelly McGinnis.
Oh, do I wrap my arms around you on the motorcycle?
No. No. We don't do that here. Only Nerd gets to do that. Oh. Heavy Grip. We discovered the new Heavy Grip perk was slightly increasing incoming flinch. That was not intended, so we removed it. And then Precision Instrument. The difference between Precision Instrument and Enhanced Precision was so barely noticeable, so we wanted to differentiate the two. Enhanced Precision Instrument damage at max stacks from 26 to 30. Cool. So we have a couple of highlights for the future here that they note. The season 23 mid-season patch, and then the patch that will launch with the final shape. They're already teasing both of these. So in the near future, I suspect this is the season 23 mid-season patch, or it's probably not the launch patch, since we're kind of covering that now. In the near future, bow tuning in PvP. Thank fucking God. I hate bows in PvP. It's quite literally the most aggravating thing to face right now. It's like having unlimited ammo for a sniper. Additional weapon tuning for Checkmate aimed at promoting a better diversity of weapons, because bows are apparently running rampant in Checkmate too. In the far future, I'm excited for all of these. I'm so ready to read these. Necrochasm will be getting a buff to extend the duration of the poison damage over time effect it applies from the Cursed Thrall detonation. It will also have a new catalyst called One for Thrall, which grants a moderate period of increased damage, range, and aim assist after you damage 3 enemies in quick succession. Damaging more than three more enemies while the perk is active refreshes the timer. I love this. That is the best name for a catalyst we've ever had. One for Thrall. I love it. Buffs to Truth, the Colony, and Dead Man's Tale, as well as other exotic weapons. And heavy grenade launchers will get a substantial inventory buff. I'm here for it. I'm ready. If that's how we're going into the final shape, I'm ready. I'm taking my Dead Man's Tale and just gonna beat the shit out of the Witness with it.
Do it. Do it.
I'm ready. I'm gonna shoot him in the face and I'm gonna club him with it. I'm just gonna melee him.
Nice.
Before we jump into questions, I did want to remind you guys we have not forgotten about the Wishender question and the bows question that we had a couple of weeks ago. I have talked to Joe Asis. I need to nail down, but the goal is to try and get him on here next week to talk bows with us.
Nice.
Because I don't use bows, and I definitely don't use Wishender.
Yeah.
So I want to get him in here to talk about him. He has converted to being a bow main this season. Definitely in PvE content too. So I want to hear. I think he got the adept version of the Nightfall bow also this season. So I want to see what he has to say about that. We'll talk bows. We'll talk Wishender next week. So get those questions in. If you have any questions about bows, Wishender, etc. We will not talk Le Monarch. I fucking hate Le Monarch. We're not talking about it. It's banned from the conversation. Don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. We're not talking Le Monarch.
Just don't.
If you do it, I'm banning you. I will start banning people.
You are banned.
I promise. You're banned. No, I wouldn't do that, but I would consider it. All right. Corey, let's get into some questions before we head to the lore corner.
Questions?
Jiggly Panda asks,
Jiggly Panda.
Since we've had some amazing games released this year, what is your final game of the year predictions? I'm going to take this as what do you think is going to be like the top 5 nominees?
Oh, God. Man.
So I'm going to say this is like our personal guesses at what nominees would be.
Yeah.
Not like what we actually have as our top 5.
Yeah.
We'll save those for the first episode of next year.
Yeah, it's funny.
We both still have a number of titles to play from this year.
Yeah. I still need to play Mario Wonder, man.
I bought it and I won't even be starting it until Christmas Day. I bought it for my girlfriend for Christmas.
Yeah.
I bought a copy for her and a copy for my stepsister.
Nice.
I mean, I guess I'll go first. My guess for Game of the Year noms is probably Baldur's Gate 3, Tears of the Kingdom. I think those are really the only two locks, frankly. I think everything else is so up in the air.
Yeah. What do you think? Because there's got to be category fillers, right? I mean, it's not like.
So I would say those two are your locks to get nominated for Game of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
If I were guessing what I think is going to be there at the end of this year, Alan Wake is probably the last high pedigree title of the year.
Yeah.
There's going to be other good indies and like other good games released, but I don't think they're going to be like Game of the Year quality.
Yeah.
I would say Alan Wake 2 has probably made its way onto that list now, like in the 11th hour.
Yeah.
I think a lot of outlets will probably because it's going to vary by outlet to outlet, right?
Right.
I think some outlets are going to put Starfield is going to be really divisive. I think it'll make some lists and other lists it won't even sniff it.
Yeah.
I think Spider-Man is probably about as close to a lock as you can get without actually being one.
Yeah.
I think Spider-Man's really come in and surprised a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the funny thing is I don't know why it surprised people. The first one's really good. So
I think it's more of like we don't want to nominate like an outside of gaming IP for these awards.
Yeah, that's fair.
But this is like head and shoulders better than Spider-Man 1 was, in my opinion. I also love Miles Morales, and this is much more like Miles Morales than it is Spider-Man 2018.
That's good to hear.
So I mean, if those are like my 3 or 4 guesses, I would say I think for that last slot you're gonna have, because most outlets do 5 nominees. I would say that I think in terms of AAA games, Final Fantasy 16 is going to be a really strong contender. But I think that it is a step below the other games that we just talked about.
Yeah.
I think Jedi Survivor could very well play spoiler and swoop in. I think the only thing holding Jedi Survivor back is the IP argument, of course. Yeah. But that doesn't seem to matter to Star Wars as much. As you remember, Knights of the Republic has won Game of the Year in the past.
Yeah.
From outlets. It's beloved, considered one of the best Xbox games ever.
I love that game. Rip that remake, by the way.
I mean, new Super Mario or Super Mario. I keep trying to call it New Super Mario Brothers because the art style. Super Mario Brothers Wonder should not be discounted either. I think that's going to make a lot of lists.
Yeah,
Nintendo games always just like seem to do that, even if like we think that other games are like more in depth and like just overall better. Like Nintendo is so popular amongst fans and critics.
Yeah.
That I think that could slip in. Resident Evil 4 I've seen floated around by a lot of people. I did not play the Resident Evil 4 remake yet. Corey, didn't you play through it?
I did. It was pretty good.
Would you say that the remake is on par with what they did with Resident Evil 2?
I would say, in my opinion,
because RE2 was a brand new game.
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play all the way through RE2, but what I did, I would actually say RE2 is probably a little bit better.
That's kind of the vibe I was getting. Also,
but Resident Evil 4 is still good. Like it's still.
I think it's so hard to take RE4. Not that I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, that's fine.
I think it's so hard to take one of the greatest games ever made and try to make it better.
Yeah.
That is a game that no matter what release you play, you are getting a quality version of that game.
Yeah.
I will forever live as the Wii version being the best version of that game, by the way, with the motion controls. That was actually awesome.
Yeah. I would say I really like the quality of life changes they made though in this. Like, I don't know, moving when you shoot.
I mean, yeah, we're not in 2005 anymore.
I know.
So
I know. But
I don't know if it's substantial. Like in a year with so many amazing games, like why would I want to give it to the game that won it in 2005?
Yeah, I would actually say like if you're gonna put one of the remakes on, I would actually say Dead Space remake would probably be on.
Yeah, I think Dead Space was heads and shoulders above. But But see, I kind of run into the same problem with Dead Space. I don't think Dead Space is. I mean, it's on Xbox Game Pass now, by the way, also, so everybody should go check it out. I plan on playing it this week for Spooky Games.
Spooky.
from what I've seen of that game, though, like as impressive as it was, it feels like a very like 8.5, maybe borderline 9.
Yeah.
There have been so many near perfect games this year, though.
Yeah.
And then like it comes into the question of, do you consider Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty an original release, like depending on your own personal criteria? Which I've said that would be my game of the year right now.
Yeah, which the Game Awards did give one of the Witcher expansions game of the year at one point. So
yeah, so I would definitely say that Phantom Liberty could be a spoiler also. I mean, there's like 10 games you can slot in here. We haven't even talked about indies. Like Sea of Stars has to be in the conversation. Cocoon has to be in the conversation.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I would almost say Diablo would be in that conversation, except for that first season was really not great. Although
I think it's unfair to judge a game with its seasons, because otherwise I think it's really unfair to do that. I mean, Diablo, regardless, the base game of Diablo 4 is so fucking good. On my personal top 5 of games that I've played, Diablo 4 is still on there, but it's also going to be the first one to get knocked off. Because I have like kind of locked in. I have Phantom Liberty. I have Tears of the Kingdom. I have Starfield, and I have Spider-Man. And then I have Diablo. I do not have Baldur's Gate on my list, notably. I have not been able to play Baldur's Gate. I am hoping I get to Baldur's Gate sometime in December. Because I have dropped 1.5 million hints to my partner that I really, really, really want a Steam Deck for Christmas.
Yeah.
So I would accept a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally for Christmas.
Yeah.
Prefer the Steam Deck because I can mod it.
Yeah.
So did I leave out any games? There's like 15, 20 games you could probably put on a top 5 list and nobody would argue with you on them.
You forgot Redfall, Josh, the best game of the year.
Oh my fucking god. I mean, Forza Motorsport is going to make a lot of lists probably.
Yeah.
I would expect Forza to make some. Super Mario RPG is still to come out. Persona 5 Tactics is still to come out.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. I mean, my favorite game that I played this year was actually Hogwarts Legacy, to be honest. I don't think it's making any game of the year lists for outlets, but I really loved that game.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. Like, my girlfriend loved it. She 100%ed it. She never 100% games.
Yeah.
I understand it not making lists.
I mean, aside from the quality, I bet it just is off lists because of other reasons, but
I don't think that should necessarily hold it back, but it's just like I think there's been significantly better even IP games this year. I think that personally for me, I've played a little bit of Hogwarts Legacy and I watched her play a lot of it. I think Spider-Man and Jedi Survivor are just, and Baldur's Gate's licensed too. We forget about that. Those three are just have like kind of redefined what a license should be in modern games.
Yeah.
And poor Ubisoft is about to release Avatar, so good luck there.
I think Hogwarts Legacy for me though was like it was such a surprise coming from Avalanche also, which
that's totally fair. That's the Disney Infinity Studio.
The last 3 games they made were 2 Disney Infinity games and Cars 3, which doesn't exactly scream AAA.
No. I mean, this game got delayed so many times. We used to joke that we didn't think it was ever coming out.
Yeah. By what? Like over a year, I think.
Other notable games that have come out this year that I don't think either one of us have played. Street Fighter 6, Mortal Kombat 1, Dave the Diver.
God, that's going to be on someone's list.
Dave the Diver has a 90 on Metacritic. I'm not even joking.
That's so ridiculous. It's coming to Switch soon.
Rogue Legacy 2.
Remnant 2.
Remnant. God, I completely forgot Remnant 2 was this year, honestly. What else did we get this year? Like a Dragon Inshin.
Yeah.
We have Like a Dragon Gaiden coming out next month. That's probably going to be pretty big. Jasant is still to come out.
Yeah.
Man, I almost had City Skyline 2 as a lock, and then it completely bombed, apparently.
Yeah.
Wolong Final Dynasty was earlier this year.
Yeah.
That came out this year.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big new IP.
Dude, there are so many games this year.
This isn't related to this question, but now that Bayonetta Origins came out this year too, Corey. Pikmin 4 came out this year.
Yeah. Pikmin 4.
Do you think that it has been hyperbole when people say that this is like one of the like 4 or 5 best years ever for video games.
No, I don't. I really don't. I mean,
like,
I
don't think we have the volume of releases of some of the older years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I saw people be like, "Oh, well, you guys weren't alive in 1998," and it's like, yeah, games also only took like a year and a half to make back then.
Yeah, did you know Final Fantasy IV took 9 months to make? So
yeah, so like, my guy,
yeah, like
this is not counting other things like Metroid Prime Remastered and like Persona 4 Golden coming to modern consoles and God, just Assassin's Creed Mirage came out this year. It came out 3 weeks ago.
Dude, I keep forgetting about that.
It got good reviews. Everspace 2 came out. God, just
yikes.
Man. There's been so many good. Again, you could make a list of like there's like 25, 30 different games. You get Coffee Talk 2. That's my favorite indie I've played so far this year.
I forgot that
like there's so many good games. Advance Wars reboot came out that actually finally released after like 2 years of sitting on ice.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many different games you could put on there and nobody would argue with you about them.
Yeah.
So just man, this is a hard question. Well, we're definitely circling back to this at the end of the year.
Yeah,
once I've been able to play all my indies.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely do some sort of Game of the Year episode at least on Xbox Casuals.
We'll do it here too at the beginning of the year. We won't have too much coming out of the Christmas break.
Yeah,
but that'll give us time to catch up. Also,
yeah.
We both have extensive backlogs we'd like to get through over the next couple months.
Yeah, for real.
I was just looking at what we still have to come this year that I would consider like
also
notable releases.
Remember this year kicked off with a Fire Emblem game too.
Oh my god, it did. Fire Emblem Engage came out in January.
Yeah,
oh my god.
It won't be on any Game of the Year list. I got so bored of that game. I'm not gonna lie.
Everybody I talked to seemed to like it.
I mean, that's fair. It wasn't a bad game. It just I got bored. I missed the interstitial stuff of Three Houses.
I got really bored with Three Houses by the end. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I mean the game's a little bit too long, but you know.
I'm excited for RoboCop.
RoboCop.
I won't be playing it day one, but that's like the ultimate game that when it hits $20, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just a handful. We still have probably like 5 or 6 games that we're looking forward to.
Yeah.
Over the next 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And God bless us, we're not going to be able to get to them. The dealer asks, how do you feel about the Halloween event 1 through 10 and why? It's a solid 6 for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say a 6. It's
a solid 6 for all the reasons that we've discussed the last couple weeks. Yeah. I actually really love the cosmetics this year. I think they actually did a really, really good job with most of them.
Yeah.
The UFO ship and the hearse as a sparrow are 2 notable. The very haunted mansion ass ghosts.
Yeah.
The candy corn ghost is awesome. I really like that too.
Yeah.
So I think there's some cool cosmetics. I like the inclusion of Imaru and Ido. I think that makes it fun. We're going to read some lore from Festival of the Lost in the corner tonight.
Lore. Love lore.
I'm kind of getting to the point where I did with the Haunted Forest. Like, I like the addition of the Legend Haunted sectors, and I like that they're match made. It's just people are getting in there that have no business being in there.
Yeah.
You have to wear the masks, which lowers your output also. It's I mean, especially if you use like an exotic helmet, like you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
And it's a frustrating experience. It's the same 4 lost sectors that we've had the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Let's at least change it up. If we're going to keep doing this, I would have loved to have seen the ones on the Throne World be a part of this.
Yeah.
Those I think could have been so cool.
Yeah, that would have made sense too.
So yeah, it's the Halloween event is fine, but you know, it's still probably the best one though out of all 4 of these, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That should speak more to the conversation we had about needing to change the events up.
Yeah.
Which leads us into our next question from Airmail Attic. Given the discussion on crappy seasonal events tied to real world holidays, what Destiny lore event or series of events provides enough depth to base an in-game event on? I'm thinking we replace Guardian games with an event based around Destiny lore. Do you think that would land with the player base? Yes, but I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean,
something celebrating the great Ahamkara hunt could be really fun and goofy at the same time.
Yeah. You know what would be cool? You know, and this is going to be a really weird comparison, but stick with me, Josh. Okay. You know how
Okay, hit me.
you know how in the division,
Yes.
where you get those echoes and like the screen turn, like there's blue kind of diagram
Yes.
of the stuff comes
Yes,
up.
I love those.
Yeah. You could do some sort of like mission in that, like that style of art that like, and not the characters are really moving that much, but like just like you maybe fight through a section that represents part of the lore, and then you see like the scenes play out in the blue after each section or something.
Destiny Memorial Day.
Oh God.
That's basically what you're proposing.
It's fair.
The Destiny Vietnam War Memorial.
Yeah.
That's what Corey's proposing here.
Let's do it.
Oh my God.
Thank you for your service, Guardians.
Thank you. This is so fucking stupid. It's almost as bad as me saying we should do Arbor Day. It's so fucking stupid. I mean, I think something doing referencing Twilight Gap could be kind of cool. Like, I would like a lore-based event. I just don't have any idea how you start. If I knew how to build it, I'd be working at Bungie right now. Let's put it that way.
You're basically asking us to do Assassin's Creed, but in Destiny, where you get in this device that
pretty much. There's no Animus in this universe. Thank God. There's no Abstergo Industries.
There could be though. I mean, Mara could just like hold her hands over your head and transfer you back, like
somehow Desmond returned,
like Kitty Pryde does the Wolverine in Days of Future Past.
Oh, that's so fucking dumb. I hate that movie so much.
Oh man,
God, dude, that's not how Days of Future Past works.
Yeah,
Kitty Pryde's the one who went back in time. That's not how any of this works.
Yeah, but I mean, no offense, but Kitty Pryde's not exactly the best character in those movies.
I blame the writing.
I mean, fair, but still.
Ellen Page was not bad in those movies. The writing, however, was atrocious. They tried to force the romance with Shawn Ashmore. Great in Quantum Break, by the way. We love Shawn Ashmore here.
Yeah. Guest.
God, dude, that cast was like secretly stacked in that game.
Yeah, I mean Lance Reddick was in it too.
You had Lance Reddick, you had Shawn Ashmore, you had Aidan Gillen, and you had Dominic Monaghan.
Yeah,
it was pretty great. And you know how many of them were used for the live action sections? One. None. Oh, excuse me. Lance showed up for a scene.
I mean that's great.
A scene.
That was his.
But he did a shitload of mocap for that game.
That was his reel for Destiny.
Alan Wake 2 is dedicated to his memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really touching to see earlier.
Yeah.
Tiger Jesus writes in and asks, what changes about Destiny when we leave last gen behind? God, I hope the erratic loading into the tower. Sometimes it takes me 10 seconds. Sometimes it takes me like 3 minutes.
Yeah. Dude, I walked away one time, made myself a sandwich, and went to the bathroom, and I came back. I was still in orbit.
I really hope that kicking me out of menus every 3 seconds when an event is loading will stop also. That's pretty infuriating to me. I think just overall the game is going to be a more stable and smooth experience because you're not having to cater to hardware that was originally conceived in like 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So, because that's what it is. Like these consoles start production, they decide on these specs years and years and years in advance. As we've seen from the Xbox court docs that leaked, they're already planning the console coming in 2028. Like, because the technology has to get there. So yeah. You're playing on consoles that were prototyped and conceived in like 2011.
Right.
We knew Phil Spencer had a Series X at his house for like an entire year and a half before it came out.
Yeah.
So, man, like it's things like that you're like, oh shit, that like kind of put it in perspective. Just like Destiny 1 was kind of janky because they had to be working on consoles that were like prototyped in 2003, with the 360.
Yeah.
So I think that the jankiness will be left behind. That's probably the biggest thing. And I think there'll be a pretty big visual fidelity jump also. Yeah. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
I think maybe maintenance will be a little bit easier to do, possibly. I can't really speak to that. I hope matchmaking gets better. Maybe like they can do new and better anti-cheat. because everything will be on the same, kind of wavelength. I'm not sure. But either way, I would expect a very big performance in jump in game performance. That would be the biggest thing I'd be looking forward to.
Yeah.
The Doctor writes in. The Dr. NY, as a matter of fact. Doctor, do you actually live in New York? Because that's kind of cool. What is one thing that Bungie either can't or refuses to change that would make the game better? For me, it would be matchmaking all three-person legendary activities. I think that probably would have been mine before they announced Fireteam Finder.
Yeah.
Which we are only weeks away from releasing. With 4 weeks out now, I think. 4.5, somewhere in there. From that happening, that'll be happening post Thanksgiving. I think Fireteam Finder is going to solve that problem for a lot of us because it's built in LFG, for God's sake. Like, I used to be upset about not having that, and then I saw people play the Corrupted Strike and not pass the orbs, and that was all the validation I needed to know that 3-person activities do not need to be match made.
Yeah.
And that raids do not need it also. You should have to actively seek it out.
Yeah.
Because people cannot follow the simplest mechanics.
That's true.
That being said, I think if it's a 3-person seasonal legendary activity, it probably should have the option to be match made. But again, you run into the same problem as you have with the haunted sectors of people are not properly equipped to be in there.
Yeah.
And I mean, you find that even in some of these activities to begin with. Like, I'll be trying to take a friend through and like, oh, somebody on their light level will be dragged into our game and not on my level, so I'm having to effectively carry 2 people through stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit more difficult with the general difficulty changes that we've had.
Yeah.
I don't really have much that I would say. Like, all mine is Eververse related.
Yeah.
Literally all mine is reduce the prices of everything in Eververse by like half across the board.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, man. I was looking at some of the Eververse prices. Tuesday, I think.
They're egregious.
I'm like, oh my God, it's getting worse.
I would really like to buy, some of these ships and stuff, but I don't want to spend like the ships aren't nearly as bad as like the exotic ornaments and stuff like that. Like we've complained about the ornament sets before. That the ornament sets are sitting here costing us, $15 or $20 a piece, depending on if it's a collab or not.
Yeah. I mean,
that's insane. That's for each class too.
I know.
If that gave you all 3 classes, I'd maybe be more okay with it.
Yeah. I also don't want to pay like $7 to $10 for a cool looking ghost. Like, that's kind of ridiculous.
That should be like $5 max.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm sitting here talking all this shit. I would remind everyone that, believe it or not, we think this is all predatory. This is actually like nothing compared to real MMOs.
Oh, I know.
Final Fantasy 14 sells mounts for like $40.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. Absolutely just a disgusting, as Stephen A. Smith would say, a disgusting act.
Yeah. Titan
writes in. I think he says that about a lot of things. Titan writes in, do you think they should shift Solstice somewhere else in the year and do a Bungie/Destiny celebration in summer around Bungie Day? Yes.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That is what we should have come to the conclusion on last week. Give me a 2-week event in mid-July celebrating Bungie. Move Solstice to being the February event.
Yeah.
Bada bing, bada boom. I think the concern there is you have too many events all stacked up on each other, though, because that basically means every major event is like, you have a month with an event, you have a month without. You have a month with an event, a month without. For like, except for during the summer when you have a super high amount of players playing.
Right.
So, like, because I think Solstice should go back to like being in tandem with Moments of Triumph. That would be my proposition. Those two were always tied together. I think they should continue to be tied together. A Bungie Day celebration would be cool. I would like for all the stuff for Bungie Day to take place within Xur's realm. I think that would be a cool way to update and make Dares of Eternity fun again.
Yeah.
And you could do some really stupid stuff, like program different bosses or something to be in there. Maybe you just drop fucking Crota in the first encounter. Drop him in the first encounter and everybody can just galley him to death. That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
I would enjoy something like that, personally. Illustrated Dio has a couple questions and writes in. What do you think would be the best use of alternative entertainment media to establish the lore of the Destiny 2 brand, since the Bungie devs have a hard time seeding it in-game? Examples include Dark Horse Comics, manga, Netflix shows, Sony Pictures, or Destiny 3. I think we've both been really clear that we think that an animated series is the most obvious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's probably the easiest. Something even in the style of like the animation from like Vox Machina or Cyberpunk Edge Runners would be really good.
Yeah.
I think there's a number of studios you could recruit, especially with Sony, the Sony conglomerate owning Crunchyroll now. There's no shortage of studios you could contract to work with you on that.
Right.
I don't want to see anything live action. I'm going to be totally honest.
Yeah, I mean, I was already on the fence for live action. The only thing I would have wanted to see would be Lance Reddick and Zavala,
and we're not going to get that.
Yeah, obviously you are not getting that. So
yeah,
I would definitely go the animated route, like a 2D animated route. I would really love to see a lot of the stuff that we hear about in the lore, but don't actually.
You can get crazier with animation too,
yeah,
for a lot cheaper than doing it live action with CG.
Mm-hmm. I want to see.
That's going to be what I keep coming back to.
I want to see Saint chuck a shield so far that it cuts off like 35 Thrall's head in a row.
I want to see. I've talked about it before. I really would like a Destiny Legends series, an anthology, and my first one I want is The Man with the Golden Gun. I want the story of Shin Malphur.
Yeah.
I want stories that maybe don't directly relate to the Guardian.
Yeah.
I want to see the Great Ahamkara Hunt. I want to see Twilight Gap. I want to see Six Fronts.
Yeah.
I would love for Shaxx to have a season, Shaxx's war stories, and they're just like over the top explanations.
Yeah. And then at the end of every like Shaxx episode, they're just like, no, you didn't.
What actually happened?
Yeah. No, you didn't.
So somebody's coming in and correcting him.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a lot of what happened in the Distributary with Mara, like how she became the queen.
Yeah.
We know that from the lore, but I'd like to see some of that.
Yeah, I would love to see
the founding of the dual founding of our city and the Dreaming City.
Yeah. I would love to see. I mean, I think I said this last week or a couple weeks ago, but I would love to see the Iron Lords and the Warlords.
Yeah.
Would be awesome.
The Iron Lords would be a shoe-in. Saladin's a beloved character. You can have Shaxx in there then. Drifter has a role to play with them, etc. You could have plenty of familiar characters.
Yeah.
I think another one I'd really like to see, I'd like to see more expanding upon that Witness cutscene that we got on that race. I'd love to see like the Witness's journey through time, essentially.
Yeah.
I'd like to see like how Rolk comes to become the first disciple. I'd like to see that actually play out on screen. I'd love to see an adaptation. And I know that there is a fan-made one of these being done as a graphic novel, which is actually really cool. I've been following it. Yeah. Somebody is hand-drawing the Dark Future.
Yeah.
And that's been really rad. And I want to say, like, all the ideas I'm giving, like, aren't necessarily things that need to be shown on screen.
Yeah.
But I'd love graphic novels. We got that first comic anthology that was so cool.
Yeah.
And we never got another one. I would like to see more of those. Maybe they just decided there wasn't. And I think that's probably a hard sell, to be frank.
Yeah.
But you could do like a one or two off. And I think that showing things like, the Witness's origins or like the Man with the Golden Gun would be really good for those. Maybe like one about Drifter. Just make one all about Drifter.
Yeah.
The cyberpunk ones from Dark Horse are a good starting point for video game tie-in graphic novels. Those have been really well done.
Yeah. I would love to see you already mentioned the Dark Timeline, but I would love to see one almost like a, I don't know, I was going to say Black Mirror episode, but more like I would love to see Elsie's journey through all the timelines and how she gets from one timeline to the other and how she ends up in ours,
I think it would be interesting to like see how the Dark Timeline plays out, and then just see like a montage of her like failing repeatedly before getting stuck in our timeline.
Yeah,
like what makes our timeline different, and it clearly has been like seeking out the Guardian.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll finally show us who she was talking to in Destiny 1.
Yeah,
that will forever be something that bothers me.
Do you think we'll ever find that out?
No, I think that is a plot thread that they're just gonna. after they showed that the Pale Heart is the destination, unless we somehow do some timey-wimey bullshit, which is not unfathomable.
Yeah.
I just don't think that I don't think we're gonna do it anymore. I think we've moved so far beyond that mattering. They have confirmed who it was originally supposed to be, and I think that's good enough. It was supposed to be Osiris. Mm-hmm. And I think the very nature of Curse of Osiris existing ruins that. Mm-hmm. So
I wonder, do you think there's going to be a secret destination?
I hope not. I'm going to be honest, because they've already said that we can't unlock this as a destination to explore until we beat the Witness.
Yeah.
So, or until you beat the campaign, not necessarily beat the Witness.
Yeah.
So no, I'm okay with this being the destination. I do think the novelty is going to wear off really quickly. What are they going to do? Be sending us on missions into the Traveler? Like, there probably will be another destination, but I'm just saying I would be okay with there not being one.
Yeah.
If there is one, I could see there maybe being like, the first time you go there, it's like a portal that you find, and like you go back to like the Witnesses planet or something. I think that could be really cool. There's a few things you could do. But I think at this point, they want to save new destinations, maybe for episodes, or more likely for whatever comes next. I would wager the next expansion has multiple destinations in it. That would be my guess. Mm-hmm. Illustrated also has another question for us, and I really like this one. I was thinking about this today when I was reading through the questions. What are your thoughts on an all access to gaming software eventually going digital in a few years across all platforms? Will the market share significantly shift more to Steam and gaming PCs than consoles in the future, leaving the competition behind? To put this as delicately as possible, I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
I think there's always going to be room for consoles, whether we call them consoles or not. Like, in the future, consoles will probably be like pre-built devices.
Yeah.
But like Xbox has already started making this shift towards being more of a services mm-hmm. and publisher thing than caring about their physical box. You can do that when you're the company that runs fucking Windows.
Yeah.
Right.
And also remember, newer Samsung TVs have Xbox apps on them already for Game Pass.
Like,
so.
they are trying to future proof as much as possible, knowing that they will never win the hardware war. Mm-hmm. Sony and Nintendo are going to be the ones that have to adapt. And like,
yeah,
Sony, I would argue, might not have as much of a problem because like we just discussed with Samsung, you know, mm-hmm. Sony TVs can have the app built in.
Yeah.
But they don't make devices. They don't make tablets anymore and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, so they're gonna have to have a third party app.
Yeah.
Or they're gonna have to third party publishing. They're gonna have to make their own devices. Nintendo is the one that I don't see like ever truly leaving because they have such a corner on handheld gaming, and people have shown, like, the Switch has proven, mm-hmm. if anything, that people want these devices in their home and on the go.
Steam Deck 2 recently, right? I mean, like that...
the Steam Deck. I mean, if anything, I think we're going to see more of a shift towards a handheld experience that you can dock. Mm-hmm. I think that's what you're going to see. People want their libraries on the go more than anything. Like, Steam and gaming PCs are going to be a thing, but like, if it does shift significantly towards PCs, gaming is going to become even more of a niche hobby than it already is.
Yeah. I mean,
much more expensive.
Yeah. Also, I think we all sometimes forget that, like, even though, you know, Josh, you and I play a lot of games and are like really into the industry and the news and everything that's going on, right? But like, a majority of gamers are not, and they love the plug and play experience where you just plug it in and it works, right? And not everybody mm-hmm. wants to or is capable of building a PC that, you know, is, you know, $1,000 or plus with all the best things that you can put in it, right? Like, I mean, and I think the console space fills that gap for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, we got to remember that, like, most of the people who play games they're casuals. Mm-hmm. There's this great joke that I love on just bear with me here, on the OC from 2004.
Oh God,
where
here we go.
One of the main characters loves comic books and video games, and one of their friends is over playing video games, and he's like, man, I just can't be, who plays PlayStation for the sports games? And like, up until a couple of years ago, like, I mean, Madden is still one of the best-selling games every year.
Yeah.
FIFA is one of the best-selling games every year. Call of Duty, like, most people come in who buy these consoles, like, we talk all the time, like, it really wasn't until the last couple of years that like PlayStation exclusives really started selling incredibly with this insane attach rate, right? It very much was always third-party software on these consoles, unless you're Nintendo, because Nintendo is in its own little world. Like, Nintendo fans got used to not getting third-party games. So anytime a Nintendo game releases, oh, we're all going to run out and buy it regardless of the quality, right?
Yeah.
Or regardless of something we played 15 times.
Yeah.
Like, the most popular games year after year are sports games, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, and Minecraft. That's what sells. That's what makes you a shitload of money. Like, exclusives have just recently started doing that in the last couple of years. Halo was an extreme outlier in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that also was like a huge example of like a killer app from a first party at that time.
That was probably the last major, like, if you will buy a console just to play this one game. Well, I shouldn't say the last, because I think The Last of Us has achieved that. People flock to do that, and I think Spider-Man has done it as well.
Yeah.
That's the last like multiplayer. That's the only multiplayer game I can ever think of outside of Smash and Mario Kart.
Yeah.
That has happened for.
Yeah.
And like that's because those are Smash and Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason why Mario Kart 8 still charts on the top 20 every single month.
Yeah. I mean, so also like if we're talking Nintendo, like this is also the first generation where Zelda has been like the killer app too, right? I mean, Zelda
has sold well in the past, but never like above 10 million.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
which is a paltry sum for a Nintendo exclusive.
Yeah, I think the behind, well, this was like before Tears of the Kingdom came out, but before Breath of the Wild, I think the highest selling game was Ocarina of Time, and that was across 3 platforms at like 12 million.
Yep.
13 million. So
yep, it was Ocarina.
Yeah.
Hail Hydra writes in and asks 2-part question. Number 1, which How I Met Your Mother character are you guys?
Oh God.
I think we'd both like to imagine that we're Marshall.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to be Barney, and nobody wants to be Ted.
Yeah, nobody wants to be Ted. Let's be honest here.
No, nobody wants to be Ted.
Oh man.
Everybody wants to be Marshall, though.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to think they're Marshall.
Yeah.
And which Destiny character is most like each of the main group?
Well, hold on. I need to reread that question. Hold on.
Marasov is Robin Scherbatsky.
Oh God. Yeah.
She's enough of an asshole.
Yeah.
That's the only one I got. Drifter is definitely Barney Stinson.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
Drifter's Barney Stinson. Cade is Marshall.
Yeah. Who's Ted? Jesus, I have no idea. Who's the Guardian that wants to be part of the group but really isn't? And he kind of just messes up all the time.
Glint in a hunter costume.
Oh God, yeah.
I would have said Amanda Holiday.
Yeah, well, rip Amanda. She's dead. Until the
it's Mithrax.
Oh
God. Rahul.
Yeah.
Is Rahul Ted?
Ferrix. He wants to be part of every group.
I don't know. I don't think that the cast really fits in that great, personally.
Yeah.
And then we talked about live action or animated shows and movies earlier about regarding Destiny. I'm gonna save Zhao's question for last. We're gonna jump ahead one more question.
Okay.
Panda of Chaos writes in, what are your top 3 ghost shells?
Ooh, my favorite one is the Indiana Jones.
The Indiana Jones one it's a top tier one.
Yeah.
I like the Indiana Jones one.
I like the Game Boy looking one.
My inflatable shark will always be close to my heart.
Yeah.
And I'm always gonna have a soft spot for my I have a Trials Ghost shell. That will always be one of my favorites, just because like I earned that shit. So I have not taken it off since I got it. There's better ones, but those are the 3 that I like the most.
Yeah, I really like the Aviator one with the old timey like airplane helmet. It's really funny.
Maverick.
Yeah, that one. It's pretty funny. I really like that one.
So Panda also has a follow-up question. Any comments or concerns about the Seahawks?
I'm concerned the Seahawks are going to run over the Browns this weekend.
Not really. I'm concerned that Pete Carroll is one day going to die from like celebrating on the sideline and like choke on his giant wad of gum.
By the way, Pete Carroll can play quarterback for the Browns that weekend, right? Because we need one.
No.
Real bad.
No.
Are you sure? I saw him tossing the ball around at practice. He looked better than PJ Walker.
Man. There was an interview that came out that NFL Films did with Geno Smith about his relationship with Pete Carroll, and it was like both of them. They weren't in the same room, but they were both being interviewed about each other, and just like some of the mic'd up moments between those two from last season and this season, and like the change from how Geno was like really timid last year coming into the starter role, and like there was one game that was shown, and it was a game against the Chargers where the officials made a terrible call and Geno was all upset about it, and Pete's calling to him as he's walking away to go to the huddle, and Pete's like, Geno, and Geno turns around and he looks at him and he just like basically motions at him. He's like, come on, deep breaths. The next pass is a 30-yard bullet down the field to Tyler Lockett. I think that it really shows like the kind of character that Pete Carroll has. Like it's a Hall of Fame mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no way this guy isn't a first ballot. But also that like he deserves an awful lot of credit, not just for the defense during the Legion of Boom, but like for the character of his players and for like making them better than they are. Like he's taken a guy who would probably be like an above average backup on a typical team, gave him a chance at being the starter, and he led him to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So like Geno Smith is like the feel good story of the NFL, I think.
Yeah. Dude, I remember last year when he started and people were like freaking out and he had like an amazing season.
I was so upset. Like everybody was. We had just lost Wilson. We were all convinced that Pete Carroll was the problem, and like no, it's been pretty clear that it was Russ who was the problem.
I don't know. He's having a pretty sweet season in Denver right now.
Yeah, him and Sean Payton are really doing great over there.
Oh my god.
I think that long term they probably have some concerns at quarterback because this team isn't bad enough to tank for someone like Caleb Williams or Drake May, but they're also not good enough to win the Super Bowl right now. If they won a Super Bowl with Geno, they'd erect a fucking statue of him outside of CenturyLink like tomorrow.
Yeah.
This team has so much talent though. Like it's actually really funny how I see people just continue like shitting on the Seahawks. And I would say that as a homer, it's like, no, you watch them and like, okay, so they lost a close game to the Bengals and they played a really, really bad first half against the Rams, which caused them to lose their season opener. Like this team's 4-2 right now.
Yeah.
They're certainly not in trouble. They have a realistic chance to win the division because San Francisco dropped 2 games in a row that they should not have dropped.
Yeah.
So I do have long-term concerns about Geno. But if he continues to perform like he did last year, then that's the steal of a lifetime on that contract. He's the 18th highest paid quarterback in the league, and he's performing way better than that. So he's performing arguably as a top 10 quarterback again. So, I love watching the Seahawks. They bring joy to my heart. I think when you've been a fan of bad teams for so much of your life, or not necessarily like bad, outside of the Rangers, like every team I root for has been pretty decent in my lifetime. It puts things in perspective. Corey knows he's a tortured Cleveland sports fan.
Don't remind me.
That like when you finally make it over that hump, it's so sweet, and you're like, I got one. That's all I need.
Oh my god, dude! In 2016, when the Cavs beat the Warriors,
that's like as much as I wanted the Warriors to win that tie. I wanted to see back-to-backs. I think Steph Curry's the best player of his generation. Like, that is one of the greatest sports stories ever.
Yeah.
Like, and I think like Geno winning a title with the Seahawks would be like on par with that. Like, you look at the talent they've been able to put around that guy, And the whole reason we got all that talent is because Russ walked. The rebuild takes years otherwise.
Yeah.
But instead we immediately jumped into contention. So I'm excited. I love football. I love my Seahawks. I love the throwback unis. I'm ready. My concern is that the uniforms are too sexy. That's my concern.
I have to say, Josh, you're talking about rebuilding. 2 years from now, the Browns are going to have to just, I don't know what they're going to do, man.
I mean, they may have to do it in like the next year or two, frankly.
Well, they do. We have no salary cap room because we're paying,
which is wild. I mean, at this point, like if the team can't compete, do you like ship Myles Garrett off for as many picks as possible?
I don't know, man.
Or do you think he's going to be like Joe Thomas and just be a lifer?
No, I think he's too good for that. I mean, Joe Thomas.
I mean, Joe Thomas, first ballot Hall of Famer.
I know.
So
I know. Did you know that Peyton Manning tried to talk him into coming to Denver to win a Super Bowl? And he's like, nah, I'm going to stay in Cleveland.
Yep.
It's like, man.
He is the ultimate loyal professional.
Yeah. I love Joe Thomas, man.
I love him. One of the greats at his position to ever play the game.
I know.
Zal writes in with our final question of the night, though, and I wanted to save this for last because we did talk about it on Xbox Casuals, but we'll give some spoiler-free thoughts here. Spoiler-free thoughts on Spider-Man 2. It's one of the best games of the year. It improves on 2018 in every single way. Every conceivable way.
I haven't played it yet, so I don't have any thoughts.
Maybe the second best superhero game ever made.
Behind what?
I think its only real competition is Arkham City. That's the only competition, and like I didn't particularly care for Arkham City that much, so my top 10 in superhero games is wildly different than most people's. The only Batman game that makes that list for me is Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, Arkham Asylum.
I don't have Arkham City on my top 10.
Yeah.
I also like played a lot of Marvel games as a kid.
Yeah.
So I've got like the Super Nintendo X-Men game on my list.
Yeah.
What
X-Men
what
Legends.
was it? I've got X-Men Legends on there.
X-Men Legends.
I've got Hulk Ultimate Destruction, Ultimate Spider-Man from the GameCube and PS2.
Ooh, that was a cel shaded one, right?
Yep, that is until now that was still my favorite Spider-Man game. Miles Morales is on my list. That phenomenal game. Insomniac's original Spider-Man game has to be on there. It's a lot of Spider-Man games. Marvel Ultimate Alliance is on there. I love Ultimate Alliance.
3, right?
No. 1. Number 1 is on there.
That was a joke.
I have Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I don't know if that counts, but I'm counting it.
Sure,
anyways.
It does.
I'm counting it. I'm counting 3 because it did an actual story about Dr. Doom and Albert Wesker tried to take over the universe.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, because Albert Wesker is definitely as intimidating as Dr. fucking Doom.
Yeah. Also, they're both really great team players.
Yeah, right. Dr. Doom actually can be a team player, though. Yeah. I mean, I have a hard time slotting Arkham City on my list. I didn't care for it when I played it. I think Arkham Asylum was a way tighter experience. So, and Arkham Knight is nowhere near being a top 10 superhero game.
Yeah.
City of Heroes could be on my list. City of Heroes fucking rocked. I loved that back in the day.
Yeah.
But that was my first MMO. I'm excited to see what they do with the future of the Insomniac verse. We talked about it a little bit on Xbox Casuals, but Spider-Man 3 is a given, and it feels like they're going to do Insomniac's version of the Avengers at some point.
I wonder.
It feels like they're really building to that.
I actually wonder if they're going to do some sort of like X-Men, like instead of Avengers, because Avengers gave such a bad taste in everybody's mouth.
I don't think so. I think there's enough evidence in the 3 Spider-Man games that I think the evidence and the gameplay variations that they have throughout the 3 games are definitely hinting towards we're prototyping for an Avengers game.
That would probably be their multiplayer game that they're working on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's my suspicion, because I think that you could take Wolverine and you can have like X-Men cameo in his game. And but hey, we've already got the combat nailed for Wolverine. Let's put Wolverine as one of the characters in Avengers.
Yeah. That would make sense.
You got Wolverine and 2 Spider-Men already on deck.
Great.
You've got the prototype for Iron Man right there in how the websuits fly.
Yeah.
So, like, you've got stealth gameplay there if you're gonna go for like a Black Widow brawler type character.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, you need a prototype. Well, there's arguably some similarities to the Hulk also. And you know, prototype Captain America after that, and you're pretty good.
Do you
like, no joke?
Do you think what would be really funny is since Avengers is,
you can even do Thor because of the lightning powers.
Yeah. What would be really funny is if, like, since Crystal Dynamics Avengers game is delisted, that they just called it Marvel's Avengers.
I mean, they probably would.
I know, but that would be really funny if they did that.
I think it would have to be like Marvel the Avengers.
Yeah, or like Avengers Assemble or something.
Yeah, it would have to be like Avengers with like a subtitle after, and they'd have to like make sure that Peter and Miles are like front and center on the cover, so you know this is the good Avengers game.
Yeah, it would probably have to be well, Peter would probably be in the center, right, and then Wolverine and Miles on each side. I would assume.
Probably. That would be my guess. Yeah. All right, Corey, we're gonna go through Lore Corner real quick. This has been a very long episode. It has.
I didn't even notice what time it was.
Yeah, we're gonna fly through at least one of these Lore Corners tonight. We're gonna do one. We're gonna do one. We're gonna save the other one for next week.
We're gonna do the one.
This is Chapter 2 of Tales of the Forgotten, Volume 3, which is the book you can earn by doing the Haunted Sectors. The room Eris had stuck Immaru in was minuscule. There were no windows to watch the hours and days pass by, no electronics to hack, just containers of decommissioned armor stacked against the far wall, and one small empty crate in the middle of the room, adorned with a handwritten sign that simply said, "You," and an arrow pointing menacingly downward. It was placed there as a warning after he was caught lurking around the more sensitive areas of the tower. Ikora had confiscated his shaded shell disguise and placed a hidden agent somewhere outside to report his every move. She did, however, leave some blank crossword pages for him. Immaru stared at the crate, emitted a low-pitched growl as a lone sleeper bot entered, surprising the ghost. He circled, then scanned his random and unexpected visitor. It was standard issue, nothing special. Immaru was disappointed. "I still can't believe Savathun would do this to me," Ikora. Immaru said to the bot as he flew directly into his face. "The nerve of it all, leaving me here as collateral, and then to ask for information? He watched as the bot shuffled away and broomed the open crate. Then again, who says I have to share everything? Immaru swooped around, quickly hacking into the sweeperbot's systems. "Grab an empty kit bag from over there. Should be just the right size if I remove a little weight." As the bot complied, Immaru chuckled, shedding his standard hive shell. Right. Time for a jailbreak. This isn't like particularly deep. I just think it's very funny that it like adds. It's like picking up directly where the seasonal narrative leaves off.
Yeah.
That like I like the idea that like some of these chapters are actually like, oh, we kind of need to read these because it's like his side adventures. And we're gonna read about his initial escape from or sneaking around in the tower, his shaded shell. For anyone who like is curious what that is, that's the ghost shell with the singular sunglass on it. That's hilarious. I just think it's hilarious that they're referencing those shells in universe now.
Yeah,
that's great. The idea that the Vanguard probably thought this was some great idea, and them and Tess fucking charged all the Guardians for new ghost shells is hilarious. I like to think that in universe they're doing this. That in universe the Guardians are just as outraged and are complaining to Zavala right now. So that's all we got. Very quick Lore Corner tonight. We're gonna do some more next week. We got some more Immaru to get through, and then man, we've really only got 3 weeks left in this season.
That's crazy, man. This season went by pretty fast, I feel like.
I think we had so much going on at the same time too.
Yeah.
But it also feels like it's going to go. Really, there's a little over a month left, but we only have 3 episodes left in the season. So
yeah. Well, Josh.
Well, Corey.
What do you say we get out of here?
Let's do it.
I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to this episode of Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. If you are on iTunes, give us a rating and a nice review, or Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, Subscribe to the channel, like the video, smash the bell, as the kids say. Josh, did you know that? Did you know people say that?
I do know people say that.
Anyways, Josh, thank you for your time tonight. Where can we find you?
Twitter @Josh_Finn. I'm still there.
Still there. You can find me at I am Corey in HD. Yeah, I don't really have anything else. Join the Discord. That's the last thing.
Join the Discord.
Thank you so much for watching and or listening. Until next time, we love you. Goodbye.